In this week's video, we're pruning some of our fruit trees as our food forest is starting to bloom with blossom. Our broad beans are coming on and we share our growing experience with these. I'm still harvesting Yacon and we finally finish our main growing area and share with you something new about what we're trialling in this area this year. It's Sunday morning now and we are back up in our main growing beds to continue sorting out this area. We've got a bit of a break in the weather today after I think about 6 days of rain. Dan's been doing a great job getting the wood chips down. He did get a little bit more down I think after I finished filming the other day. And now I'm going to move on to the composting in the lower beds that he's gone through and got ready to go. Murph's ready to help with the compost spreading. Yeah, you boy, you. Okay, so on with the compost spreading now, and can you believe that Murph is led exactly where I want to put my first bag of compost down. Murph, I'm going to tip it out next to you, alright? You just stay there, eh? You just don't move a muscle. You're going to get compost all over your paws. Don't even care, do you? Not a care. Murph, come on, move. Come on. Good boy, good boy. There we go. I don't know if it's just me, but I actually find spreading compost like this really quite therapeutic, and it's also instant gratification that looks really amazing. So it's just like such a nice thing to do. So if you're feeling stressed, come out and spread some compost. It's my tip for the day. So that's roughly about an inch of compost that I'm putting on the top here. And that there is a beautiful sight. So if you're watching this and you're new to no dig, the beauty of this style of bed prep is that you literally just lay your compost on the top of the soil, and then you let all the worms and the microorganisms do all the hard work for you. They're going to come up and they're going to take down a lot of the nutrients down to deep into the soil. And also the rain will help to rain all of this nutrient and feed down into your soil. And so if you look at it a bit like every time it rains, the fresh compost layer is like a filter, and that's creating a compost tea that gets watered through into your beds below with each rainfall. Okay guys, so now for some big news. If you have been following what we do here for a while, you will know that we are mad about wood chips and we use them everywhere. But this year we're trying something new, and we are ditching the wood chips. On the top of our beds anyway, and only for the beginning of the season. Okay, so the plan is to leave just the compost on top of this bed for now. we're going to put all of our first sowings into these beds. By having just compost on top, that means we can run a hoe through these beds and deal with any of the initial weed strike that we may get more of this year because we left this area a bit more unattended last year. By leaving this as compost, it means I'm going to be able to plant my second planting into these beds a lot easier than when we've got the wood chip on top, because normally I have to pull all of the wood chip out of the way to do the second planting. Once the second planting is in, then I'm going to put wood chip back on the bed. In an ideal world, that's going to be around about early to mid-summer, and if we get some rainfall, that will be awesome. The wood chip will help lock all of that moisture into the soil for the back end of the summer, which is exactly when we need it, and hopefully it's going to help speed up the process of successional planting for us, which means we can grow more food in this area easier. Okay, so that is our main growing area, refreshed and ready for the growing season ahead. And we are pretty happy with how it is looking. In all honesty, I don't think you can beat the look of fresh wood chip and fresh compost. So yeah, we're pretty happy with how it's all turned out. And we finished it just in time because I've actually got some seedlings in the polytunnel which are pretty much ready to be planted out now. So I'll probably be getting some plants in these beds within the next few days. We left a few things in these beds which we worked around. There's some parsnips here that have been left in just for seed. Then there's some leeks down here that had self-sown, and our French garlic here. And then right up the top there are also some kale plants that we've just left in for now. We've still got a little bit of work to do over this side of the growing area, but we will probably work on the last of these beds as we finish the leeks that are still in the ground here. Me and Murph just wanted to jump in here for a minute to ask you guys a huge big favour. If you are watching and enjoying this video right now, could you please just stop for a second and click the thumbs up button below the video, and also leave us a comment, even if it just says peace and plants, to let us know that you're watching. By doing these things, it's going to really help us to grow our channel and beat the YouTube algorithms. And we're working really hard to do this right now, so we would massively appreciate your help with this. All the blossom is looking really amazing in the food forest at the moment. And the trees are looking in really good shape now that Dan has been busy giving them a good prune. We pruned all of our apples and pear trees at the beginning of winter, and then we've just been pruning our stone fruit trees at the beginning of spring. It was a bit sad cutting some of the blossom off of these trees, but particularly the cherry plums did need a really good cut, and I think they're going to do a lot better for it this year. This one's just starting to come out in blossom, but this cherry plum is a little bit further ahead. And it smells divine too. We could do with spending a day having a bit of a tidy up in the food forest, as we've got lots of new exciting stuff to plant this year that we'll be sharing in another video soon. But we are beginning to notice lots of new growth coming through, like all of this mint and our rhubarb down here. It's all slowly coming back to life. I did have a completely different plan for jobs that I was going to be doing today. It was actually wet this morning, so I was going to do a load of stuff in all of the polytunnels. But as it's come out so beautiful now, and as our growing area is ready to go, I've decided I'm going to sow some carrot seeds into this bed and get my first seeds in the ground for the season. So carrots are one of the seeds that we always sow direct as well, because it's a taproot. If you transplant carrots, from growing them in seed trays to start with, you'll often find that they won't develop the root, which is obviously the bit that we want to harvest. So yeah, carrots always go in direct. And it is so nice having this lovely, deep, fresh compost to sow straight into. And it's making it so much quicker for me, not removing the wood chips from the top. So we'll see how this goes for this season. But we will be putting the wood chips back on the bed at a later date throughout the season as well. So this is just to help speed up our initial sowings and plantings. Okay. That's our first seeds in the ground for the season. So I'm going to put a net over these now, just to stop the birds from digging them out. The soil's actually really moist because it rained just earlier on and we've got more rain due. So I'm not actually even going to water these seeds in because that compost is so wet already. Okay, so another thing I've decided to sow today, which is a bit of an experiment, is some more garlic. And we've got all of our garlic, all of our French garlic here, which I sowed back in October. And really, what are we today, the 18th of March? It's getting a little bit late for garlic. Really, beginning of March is probably the latest, and yeah, I've actually never sown it that late. But I had some of our garlic still that's left from last year's harvest, and it's gone a little bit past its best for eating. So I thought I might just put a few more cloves in the ground here to see how it grows in comparison to the stuff that I planted earlier. Okay, so I better make a mark as to where I've sown these up to, because I need to go and get a label to make sure I remember what I've planted here, how many and when, because I know that I'll say I'll remember this, but in a week's time I would have completely forgotten. So always label. My next job for today, which I've been meaning to do for quite a while, is to harvest some more Yacon, because it seems over the last couple of weeks that we have kind of completely forgotten about our supply of Yacon, and we have barely been eating any of it, and we have still got loads left to harvest. So I'm going to harvest us a big basketful now that we can sweeten up over the next week, and then really start enjoying the Yacon before all these plants start sprouting again. So I'm starting with this plant here because I can see that either Murph or the rats have been helping themselves to this one already. So we'll see what's been left for us. I'm uncovering loads of growing tips here. They're actually starting to sprout now as well, by the looks. Whoa. That's not a good one.
Oh, it's so packed with water.
Wow, look at that massive growing tip. Then, it's your lucky day. Okay, so this is all the decent tubers which I got off that plant. This is the tubers that aren't so good, that broke or maybe look a little bit mushy. And all of this here is the growing tips that we can replant to make new plants with. And there are some absolutely massive growing tips here. Some of them have got a little bit of frost damage. They've gone a bit soft, but there's still some really solid tips on them as well. Like this piece is huge. So one final thing I wanted to share with you today was about our broad beans here. And the broad beans are finally coming on, and we're definitely going to get a harvest from them this year. But it has been a bit of a task getting them to this stage. This is kind of actually the third sowing of these broad beans that I've done. So I've done 2 direct sowings, and then I did 1 tray of plugs to fill any gaps that we had in the beds. And the first, well, most of the first sowing got completely eaten by, I think, mice or rats. And now the second sowing is coming through really quite fast, but we're still getting a lot of losses. And I planted out the plugs to fill up the rest of these beds 2 days ago, and then I've just come back this morning and checked on them, and there's still quite a lot that are being dug all around, and actually a lot of the green stems that are snipped off. So I can assume that this must be birds doing this, but I'm not sure if it's rats or birds. But the plants are still holding on, so we're definitely going to get broad beans this year. And despite the effort, I am really pleased with how they are looking now. So that's going to be it for this week's video. I hope that you've enjoyed being with us and seeing what we're up to here at Freedom Forest. If you have, can we please ask that you give this video a thumbs up, because this really helps to grow our channel, and it's something that we're working really hard to do, so that hopefully we can, in the long term, get more time on our land and more resources, which means we can grow more food and hopefully then be able to share what we grow here with more people, so that other people in our local area can benefit from good, clean, fresh food as well. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. A massive thank you to our Patreons who are supporting us amazingly in what we do here. We appreciate everyone for watching, and we particularly appreciate our Patreons too. Enjoy your gardens and growing, guys, and we hope to see you here again soon. Peace and plants.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry.